The alien queen married her infertile daughter to a human and froze when she saw her grandchildren. The air smelled faintly of strange herbs and metals. Alien advisors moved quietly around her, whispering words she could barely follow. The queen's face was calm, but inside her mind was heavy with worry. Her daughter, Princess Elira, was infertile. The healers had confirmed it weeks ago. No child could come from her bloodline, and without heirs, the empire would slowly fade. Zalara had ruled for decades, keeping the peace and expanding their influence. But the future now seemed empty, like a dark void beyond the palace walls. Elira walked into the hall with her usual grace. Her silver hair glowed softly under the lights, and her eyes, the same shade as her mother's, were calm but distant. She had heard the discussion of her infertility before, and though she did not show it, the news had wounded her deeply. In alien society, producing heirs was not just a duty, it was life itself. She had tried to hide her disappointment, smiling politely at the advisors and council members, but inside she felt a cold emptiness. The council murmured as she passed, their eyes curious and sometimes judgmental. Some wondered if her condition was a punishment from the stars, others worried about the survival of the empire. Queen Zalara spoke finally, her voice smooth and steady. The council has suggested an alliance, a marriage perhaps. One that may secure the future of our bloodline. She paused, looking at Elira. Her daughter's face remained impassive, but the queen noticed the tiny clench of her jaw. "And what sort of alliance, mother?" Elira asked softly. Her voice carried no fear, only a quiet strength. It surprised many of the advisors. Zalara looked around the hall, her eyes sharp. "With humans, they are adaptable, strong, and numerous. Their species grows where others fail. We may find hope in them." A murmur rose among the council members. Humans were not considered equals. They were unpredictable, fragile in some ways, but capable of remarkable achievements. Many aliens looked down on them, thinking their simplicity would make them easy to control. But Queen Zalara had studied them. She had read reports, watched videos, and even secretly observed human colonies. She had seen their resilience and their courage. For the first time in centuries, she thought the human species might save the empire. "You would marry me to a human?" Elira asked, her voice steady. There was no anger, only a quiet disbelief. The idea seemed strange and almost insulting at first. To marry someone so different, someone without the knowledge of alien tradition and laws, seemed impossible. Yet the queen's eyes were firm. "Not just any human," Zalara replied. "I have chosen one. He is calm, intelligent, and kind, Adam Carter. He is not a warrior or a leader. He does not have rank. But he is unusual in ways we do not fully understand. I believe he may be the one to help you bear heirs." She stopped, seeing the shock in Elira's eyes. The mention of bearing heirs made Elira feel both fear and hope. Could it really be possible? Elira bowed slightly, her silver hair brushing the floor. "I will do as you ask, mother." Her voice was quiet, but there was an undercurrent of resolve. She would follow the empire's tradition. She would obey the queen. Yet inside, a small flame of curiosity and worry began to grow. Who was this human, and why did her mother believe he could do what others could not? The council continued their discussion, but Elira's thoughts drifted. She remembered the quiet moments in the palace gardens, the stillness of the crystal fountains, the soft songs of alien birds. She had never imagined a human would walk among these spaces, bringing with him a world so different, so simple, and yet so alive. She wondered how he would feel, seeing alien life in its full beauty, yet trapped in rituals he did not understand. Meanwhile, Adam Carter was on his way to the alien capital. He had received a formal message, unexpected and strange. He was a human engineer, quiet, simple, and used to working with machines rather than politics. He had never imagined he would be part of a royal marriage, or that his life would change in ways he could not predict. He traveled across the stars in a small shuttle, feeling a mixture of curiosity and nervousness. He thought about Elira, a princess he had never met. Would she hate him? Would she fear him? Or would she even care for him at all? When Adam arrived, the palace was overwhelming. The walls of crystal reflected light in colors he could not name. The air smelled of herbs, metals, and something faintly sweet. Aliens moved around, their faces unfamiliar, their eyes watching him carefully. He felt small, and yet there was something exciting in the strange, ordered chaos. A servant approached, bowing in a formal way. "Welcome, Adam Carter, the Queen awaits." Adam followed silently, unsure how to speak, unsure if he should bow or simply stand. He had grown up on a human colony where such formality was rare, yet he felt the weight of the moment. This was not just a visit. This was the start of something extraordinary. In the grand hall, Elira waited. When she saw Adam enter, she studied him carefully. He was not tall, not imposing. His brown hair fell over his forehead, and his eyes, warm and kind, looked at her with curiosity. He smiled slightly, a simple human smile that seemed genuine. Elira felt a strange emotion she could not name. Perhaps it was relief, perhaps it was curiosity. "Princess Elira," Adam said softly, bowing slightly, "it is an honor to meet you." His voice was calm, respectful, and unassuming. He did not try to impress, did not boast. It was a human way, simple and true. Elira nodded. "It is an honor," she replied, her voice gentle. She studied him carefully. Humans were unpredictable, often loud or careless. This one was different, quiet, observant, and polite. She wondered if her mother had chosen well. The queen rose from her throne, her presence commanding attention. "My daughter, my chosen human, you will live together, learn from each other, and secure the future of the empire. There is no other choice." Her voice was firm but not unkind. She looked at Adam. "Treat her well, she carries the hope of our people." Adam nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He did not know fully what was expected, but he would try. He could not imagine the future, but he could promise respect and care. Over the next weeks, Elira and Adam began to live together, though the palace walls felt strange and confining. He tried to learn alien customs, sometimes failing and sometimes amusing Elira. She corrected him patiently, though sometimes with a faint smile. In return, Adam taught her about human ways, small things like laughter, simple games, and kindness without ceremony. Slowly, a fragile trust began to form. One night, Elira stood on her balcony, looking at the alien moons reflecting on crystal towers. Adam joined her, standing quietly beside her. "I do not know if I can fulfill your mother's wishes," she said softly, her voice almost lost in the wind. Adam turned to her, eyes gentle. "We do not know what is possible. But we can try to live together and see where life takes us. You are not alone." Elira looked at him, her heart strangely light. Maybe this human was more than a tool for political gain. Maybe he could be a companion, a partner, someone who would walk beside her in ways no alien could. For the first time in months, hope flickered within her. The future seemed uncertain but not empty. The empire waited, silent and tense. The queen watched from her throne, her mind alert, her heart cautious. She could not know what would happen, could not predict the outcome. Yet, for the first time, she felt the stirrings of possibility. Perhaps, just perhaps, humanity held the key to the survival of her line. And so, life began to move forward, one quiet day at a time, in the palace where alien tradition met human simplicity, and the impossible seemed quietly, almost invisibly, within reach. Elira and Adam began their new life together in a quiet wing of the alien palace. It was far from the main halls, filled with soft light and crystal windows that looked out over gardens and fountains. At first, the silence between them was heavy. Both were cautious. Elira was a princess, used to orders and traditions. Adam was human, accustomed to freedom and simplicity. Their worlds were very different, and each step forward felt uncertain. Adam spent his days learning alien ways. He studied their customs, listened to the palace servants, and tried to understand the strange rules that governed life. Sometimes he failed, making small mistakes. He poured water on a ceremonial plant at the wrong time. He spoke loudly during a quiet ritual. He placed a chair in the wrong room. Elira watched him with a mixture of surprise and amusement. She would correct him gently, explaining why certain things mattered. She had always believed humans were fragile, careless, and simple-minded, but this one listened. He tried. He learned quickly. "Adam," she said one evening as they walked along a crystal corridor, "you are not like the others. Most humans would break these rules. You follow them, and yet you remain yourself." Adam smiled, simple and sincere. "I do not want to break them. I want to live here with you, not just follow orders. I want to understand." Elira felt something inside her shift. She had always believed she would marry for duty, for the empire, for the future. She had never expected to feel respect, or something closer to affection, for the human beside her. They began to spend more time together, outside of lessons and rituals. Adam showed Elira small things about humans: the joy of laughter, the comfort of simple food, the calm of a quiet night without ceremony. He told her stories of the human worlds, of cities filled with lights, of oceans that stretched beyond sight, of forests where sunlight danced through leaves. Elira listened, fascinated. These were things she had never imagined. Her life had been ordered, structured, full of expectation, but lacking the simple wonder that humans seem to carry naturally. One morning, Elira woke to find Adam in the garden. He was kneeling by a small alien flower, examining it carefully. "This is beautiful," he said softly, "even if it is strange." Elira joined him, smiling faintly. "You notice things others do not." "I notice you," he said quietly, and Elira felt her chest tighten. She looked away, unsure how to respond. Humans spoke in ways different from aliens. Their words were simple, yet carried weight in ways she did not expect. She had not imagined a human could understand her without ceremony, without rituals, without tests of rank or strength. Yet Adam did. Weeks passed, and their life together grew quieter, more natural. They shared meals, small walks, and long conversations in empty halls. Elira felt hope she had never felt before. Her mother's plan was for heirs, for survival, but she had begun to wonder if this marriage could be more than duty. Perhaps it could be life. The court noticed the change. Advisors whispered among themselves. Some were suspicious of Adam. A human had no rank, no power, yet he seemed to hold Elira's attention in ways none had before. Others were curious. Humans had been underestimated for centuries. Now, quietly, one human seemed to challenge that view. The queen watched from her throne, silent, observing. She did not interfere, but she paid careful attention. One day, as they walked along the palace gardens, Elira spoke softly. "Adam, do you think humans could ever bear children with my kind?" she asked, almost afraid of her own question. Humans were considered fragile by alien standards. Their biology was simple, not capable of matching the complexity of alien genetics. Most believed such unions would never produce life. Adam looked at her, his eyes thoughtful. "I do not know, perhaps not. But we do not always know what is possible until we try." Elira felt a strange hope. She had accepted her fate as infertile, as someone whose line would end. But the human beside her did not see limits. He saw possibilities. Life continued quietly until one day news arrived from the council. Another alien princess had produced a child unexpectedly, a sign the healers had missed something. The queen called a meeting, summoning Elira and Adam. The tension in the palace was high. The council feared the empire's future. Any sign of hope was measured carefully, watched and tested. In the council chambers, Elira stood beside Adam. The humans present were silent, unsure of what was expected of them. The alien advisors whispered constantly, their voices low, filled with speculation and doubt. The queen entered, her robes flowing, her presence commanding attention. She studied Elira and then Adam, her eyes sharp and calculating. "We will observe you both," the queen said. Her voice was calm, but it carried authority. "This union is unusual. Humans are unpredictable. If life comes from this, it will change many things. If not, we must find another way." Elira nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and resolve. Adam squeezed her hand gently, giving her silent strength. They left the chambers, walking through the crystal halls. For the first time, they were alone, away from whispers and expectations. "Do you think it will happen?" Elira asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Adam shook his head gently. "I do not know, but we will live each day and see what comes. There is no need to rush the future." Elira smiled faintly. The human was patient, calm, and kind. He faced uncertainty without fear. She had never known such strength in anyone before. Months passed. Elira noticed small changes in her body, subtle differences she could not explain. She spoke to the healers, who examined her carefully. They found nothing unusual. Alien medicine said it was impossible, yet something inside her hinted otherwise. She did not tell Adam at first, fearing disappointment or false hope. But he noticed the change. His quiet observation never missed small details. One evening, as they watched the moons rise over the palace towers, Elira took Adam's hand. "I think something may be happening," she said softly. Adam looked at her carefully, his eyes calm but serious. "Whatever it is, we will face it together." And so life continued. They spent their days learning, laughing, and growing together. Elira began to hope not just for the empire, but for herself. She imagined a life where she could be more than duty, where she could find joy and perhaps even love. Adam's presence was simple, human, but it brought a warmth that alien traditions never could. Outside the palace, the empire continued as always. Advisors whispered, politics moved, and the council debated the future. Yet inside the quiet wing of the palace, life moved slowly, almost unnoticed. A human and an alien princess learned each other's worlds, building a bond neither expected. One day, Elira wandered through the palace gardens alone. She stopped by a fountain, listening to the soft splash of water. She thought of her mother of the empire and of the impossible hope that had begun to grow. Perhaps humans were not fragile. Perhaps they carried strength unseen, waiting to reveal itself. She imagined what it would mean if life could come from her and Adam. If the impossible happened, if hope returned, the thought made her heart race. Adam found her there, standing quietly among the flowers. "Thinking again?" he asked softly. Elira nodded. "I am always thinking about the future, about what is possible." Adam smiled gently. "Then we will find out together, one day at a time." And so their days passed. Lessons, laughter, quiet walks, and small talks filled the hours. Alien tradition demanded much, but human simplicity brought calm. They learned from each other, each day building trust and companionship. The impossible future seemed quieter, slower, and somehow more possible than before. Little did they know, the seeds of change had already begun. A quiet miracle born from hope, patience, and trust was growing inside Elira. A future the Empire could not imagine was beginning to take shape. The Empire waited unaware. The Queen watched, silent and calculating. And life moved forward, one quiet, fragile, and precious step at a time. Elira woke one morning with a strange feeling. It was not pain, not discomfort, but something different. A warmth inside her, a light that pulsed softly. She did not understand it. Alien healers had long told her she could not bear children, and she had accepted it. Yet this feeling was new, unfamiliar, and filled her with both fear and hope. She did not tell Adam at first. She wanted to be sure, to understand if her body was playing tricks, or if this was something real. She moved carefully through her day, tending to the small tasks in the palace wing they shared. She ate lightly, drank water, and walked among the gardens, hoping the feeling would pass. But it did not. It grew stronger, pulsing gently with her heartbeat. Adam noticed her quietness immediately. He watched her from a distance, sensing her unease. One evening, as they sat by the fountain, he reached out and took her hand. "Elira, you are different today. Something is happening, isn't it?" Elira looked at him, her silver eyes wide. "I do not know," she said softly. "I feel something inside me, something alive." "But how can it be?" Adam studied her carefully. "We do not always know what is possible," he said. "You and I, perhaps something has changed." She shook her head, unsure if she could believe it. "Aliens say it is impossible. Healers say it is impossible. My body should not carry life, and yet I feel it." Adam squeezed her hand gently. "Then perhaps alien science does not know everything. Perhaps humans and aliens together can do what was thought impossible." For days, Elira and Adam observed the changes carefully. She felt shifts in her body, small and subtle. She grew tired easily, yet strong in ways she could not explain. Her senses seemed sharper, more aware of the world around her. She noticed the colors of the gardens more vividly, the songs of alien birds more clearly. She felt alive in ways she had never known. Finally, she went to the palace healers. They examined her carefully, using machines, lights, and instruments that measured every part of her being. The healers whispered among themselves, their expressions tight. After hours of observation, they came to a shocking conclusion. Elira was pregnant. The queen, Zalera, was called immediately. She entered the room with her usual calm, flowing robes, her eyes sharp and focused. When she saw the readings, her face paled slightly. She had never expected this. Alien science had failed. A human had produced life with her daughter. The implications were staggering. "This is impossible," one senior healer whispered. Zalera's eyes were fixed on Elira. "Is it true?" she asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. Elira nodded slowly, fear and wonder mixing in her expression. "Yes, it is true. I do not know how, but it is happening." Adam stood beside her quietly. He did not speak, but his hand rested on hers, steady, calm. The queen looked at him with suspicion and awe. The human had done what no alien could. He had given life to the princess. The Empire's future was no longer uncertain, but it was now tied to a species that many considered fragile, weak, and unpredictable. News of Elira's pregnancy spread quickly through the palace. Advisors whispered urgently, council members gathered in secret chambers, and rumors flew through the corridors. Some doubted the truth, thinking it a mistake or illusion. Others feared the implications. A human carrying alien life? It challenged every belief the Empire had held for centuries. Yet, Elira felt only wonder. She had feared she would never bear children, never feel the joy of life growing inside her. Now, with Adam by her side, she felt possibilities she had never imagined. She touched her stomach gently, feeling the small, faint movements of life inside. It was fragile yet powerful. It was real. It was hope. The queen watched carefully, silent and calculating. She had always been cautious, controlling every aspect of the empire, yet even she could not hide her astonishment. A human had changed the impossible, and these children, growing quietly in Elira's body, carried the royal bloodline forward. They were not weak. They were the future. As the weeks passed, Elira's pregnancy became more obvious. Alien healers studied her constantly, amazed at the strength and vitality of both mother and children. She grew tired, yes, but also stronger in ways no one had predicted. She felt energy she had never known, and her mind seemed clearer, sharper, more alive. Adam supported her quietly, helping her navigate the unfamiliar physical and emotional changes. He was always calm, patient, and kind, never treating her as fragile or incapable. One evening, Elira stood on the balcony of their wing, looking out at the moons rising over the crystal towers. She felt a small movement inside, gentle but unmistakable. "Adam," she whispered, turning to him, "they are moving." Adam knelt beside her, placing a hand over hers. "I feel it too," he said softly. "They are alive, they are strong." She smiled, tears in her eyes. "I never dreamed this could happen." Adam shook his head gently. "Humans can be surprising, and so can you." The queen called for a council meeting to announce the news officially. She entered the chamber, her expression calm, but her eyes filled with awe. The council members listened in silence as the healers confirmed the impossible. Elira, the infertile princess, was carrying twins, half human and half alien. The Empire's future had changed in ways no one had imagined. Some advisors whispered in disbelief. Some smiled cautiously. The queen said nothing, only watching as if weighing every word, every reaction. She understood the truth immediately. The Empire had survived not through strategy or power, but through the quiet strength of humans and their unexpected abilities. Back in their quiet wing, Elira and Adam began to prepare for the children's arrival. They learned together, studied ancient texts and human medicine alike, and discussed the future. Elira marveled at the strength growing inside her. She felt alive in ways she had never known. Adam remained calm, always by her side, a steady presence in a world suddenly full of wonder and uncertainty. One night, as they sat in the garden, Elira rested her hand on her stomach. "I never thought I would feel this," she whispered. "I never thought life could come from me." Adam looked at her, his eyes soft. "It is possible because we faced it together. The impossible became real because we did not fear it." Elira smiled, tears in her eyes. The warmth inside her pulsed gently, a small heartbeat of hope and life. She realized that the Empire, her people, and even the Queen herself had underestimated the power of humans. Adam's quiet strength, patience, and kindness had made the impossible possible. Weeks turned into months. Elira's pregnancy grew stronger, her body resilient beyond expectation. She moved with grace, carrying the children carefully, feeling their small movements and their quiet energy. Adam remained by her side, learning, watching, and helping. He was always gentle, always patient, never imposing, never careless. He treated Elira not as a princess or a vessel for heirs, but as a person, a partner, a friend, and soon, a mother. As the time of birth approached, the Empire waited in quiet anticipation. Advisors whispered, council members debated, and the Queen prepared herself for a moment that would change everything. Elira's children would be unlike any before. Strong, resilient, and carrying both alien and human heritage. They would challenge assumptions, defy expectations, and show the Empire that life was not limited by science alone. And through it all, Elira and Adam remained calm. They had faced the impossible, embraced it, and learned to live with hope. Their bond had grown, their trust strengthened, and their lives intertwined in ways neither could have imagined. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was alive, powerful, and filled with possibilities. One quiet night, as Elira rested in the garden, feeling the gentle movements of the twins inside her, she whispered softly, "I cannot believe this is real." Adam held her hand, his voice calm and steady. "It is real. We have made the impossible possible. And soon the Empire will see it too." And so, the story of the infertile princess, the human who believed in possibility, and the children growing quietly inside her, moved forward. The empire waited, the queen watched, and life prepared to reveal a miracle no one could have imagined. The day of the birth came quietly, yet with tension that filled the entire palace. Elira felt both fear and excitement. She had carried the twins for many months, and now the moment had arrived. Adam stayed by her side, holding her hand, whispering calm words. His presence was steady, a quiet strength that helped her face the unknown. The healers worked carefully. They had never seen anything like this before. Elira's body was strong, far stronger than alien science predicted. The twins inside her were active, healthy, and full of energy. Every reading astonished the healers. They whispered in disbelief, their voices low, full of amazement. The queen observed from a distance, silent, her face unreadable, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of shock and awe. Adam spoke softly to Elira. "You are strong, Elira. You can do this." Elira nodded, her silver hair damp with sweat, her breath shallow but determined. I hope so," she whispered. "I hope they are okay." As the process continued, the first cries of life filled the room. Small, sharp, and urgent, the sound of a new being entering the world. Elira gasped, tears in her eyes. She had feared she would never hear this sound. Yet now it filled her with awe and joy. The healers worked quickly, carefully, bringing each twin into the world. The first child, a girl, opened her small eyes. They were bright, shining with a strange mix of alien and human energy. She grasped at the air, tiny fingers reaching out. The second twin, a boy, followed, equally strong and lively. His cries were louder, yet full of life and determination. The healers looked at each other in disbelief. They had never seen such vitality, such strength. Queen Zalera entered the room quietly, moving closer to the bed. She had remained distant, cautious, and skeptical, yet as she saw the twins, her eyes widened. She froze, unable to speak. The children carried the royal bloodline, yet also something entirely new. Their small bodies radiated energy, vitality, and intelligence far beyond expectation. They were not fragile, weak, or incomplete. They were perfect, strong, and alive. Elira looked at her mother, unsure of her reaction. "Mother," she whispered, her voice trembling. The queen's eyes remained fixed on the twins. She took a step closer, her hand covering her mouth. The court watched in silence. The healers explained the unusual strength of the children, their growth, and their health. The council members whispered urgently, their assumptions shattered. Human blood had created life in a way alien science could not explain. The Empire's future was no longer uncertain. It was bright, alive, and filled with possibilities. Adam held Elira's hand, smiling softly. "They are perfect," he said, his voice calm yet filled with awe. Elira nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I cannot believe it. I never thought this was possible." The queen finally spoke, her voice quiet but firm. "These children, they are extraordinary. The Empire has underestimated humanity for centuries." She looked at Adam, her eyes filled with a mixture of awe, respect, and disbelief. "You, a human, have done what no alien could. You have given life to the royal bloodline." Adam shook his head gently. "It was not just me. Elira carried them. We did this together." The queen's eyes softened slightly, though her shock remained. She looked at the twins again, noticing the subtle ways they moved, their small gestures, their strength. She realized something important. These children were not only the future of the Empire, but proof of human adaptability and resilience. Her mind raced, thinking of the implications for diplomacy, alliances, and survival. Yet she remained silent, letting the moment settle. The twins were cleaned and wrapped carefully. The healers continued to monitor them, astonished at their vitality. They ate without difficulty, responded to sound and touch, and seemed unusually aware for newborns. Adam held the girl first, gently rocking her, while Elira held the boy. They marveled at the small life in their arms, feeling a bond that was both human and alien. "They are ours," Elira whispered, smiling through tears. "We did it. They are alive." Adam nodded, his eyes soft. "Yes, they are alive and strong. We must protect them. They are special." The queen remained frozen, staring at her grandchildren. She had expected small, weak hybrids, creatures that would carry the royal bloodline in form but not in strength. Yet these children were different. They were powerful, vibrant, and intelligent. The Empire had underestimated both humans and the bond they could form with her bloodline. She felt a mixture of fear, respect, and wonder. The world as she knew it had shifted in a single moment. The council gathered to observe the twins, their discussions quiet and cautious. Alien politics had always been strict, rigid, and predictable. Yet the birth of these children changed everything. Rules, assumptions, and long-held beliefs had been overturned. The Empire could no longer ignore humans, their strength, or the possibilities they brought. Elira and Adam spent the next hours quietly, tending to the twins. They marveled at every movement, every small sound, every gesture. The children were active, aware, and surprisingly strong. Even the healers admitted they had never seen such vitality. Alien science could not explain it. Human biology combined with alien blood had created something extraordinary. As the day passed, the Queen slowly approached Elira again. She knelt beside her daughter, her eyes still wide with awe. I cannot believe what I am seeing," she said softly. "They are perfect, strong, alive, beyond what I thought possible." Elira smiled, holding her son gently. "I never thought it could happen, Mother, but it did, and it is real." Adam placed a hand on the Queen's shoulder, calm and respectful. "We did not intend to break tradition. We only lived our lives day by day. The children, they are a miracle, yes, but they are also proof that life can be stronger than rules and expectations." The Queen nodded slowly, her mind racing. She had ruled for decades, witnessed countless challenges, and survived threats to her empire. Yet nothing had prepared her for this. The birth of these twins had not only secured the royal bloodline, but also revealed the untapped potential of humanity. She realized the empire's survival might now depend on humans in ways no one had imagined. That evening, the palace was quiet. Elira and Adam rested with the twins, their small breaths soft and steady. The Queen watched from a distance, silent, reflecting on the events of the day. She had seen her line saved, the impossible made real, and her grandchildren alive, strong, and vibrant. She realized that strength came not from rank, rituals, or rigid tradition, but from trust, patience, and courage. Humans had shown her that. Adam whispered softly to Elira, "They are ours, and they are strong. The Empire will see it soon." Elira nodded, holding her children close. "I feel hope, real hope. For the first time, I believe the future can be bright." And in that quiet palace wing, life continued. The twins moved gently, their small bodies full of energy and promise. The Queen, once frozen in shock, began to understand the power of this union. Humans, underestimated for centuries, had changed the Empire. The royal bloodline, once thought doomed, was now alive, vibrant, and strong. The Empire would never be the same again. The council would debate, advisors would whisper, and the palace would buzz with news. Yet in that quiet moment, Elira, Adam, and the twins were safe. The impossible had happened. Life, hope, and strength had arrived in the form of two small children, carrying both human and alien heritage. The Queen finally spoke again, softly, almost to herself. "The Empire has been saved by them, by life itself, and by a human." Elira smiled faintly, exhausted but happy. "They are ours, and we will protect them together." Adam nodded, looking at the twins with quiet pride. "Together always." And so the palace rested, the twins slept peacefully, and the Empire waited, unaware that the impossible had already arrived. Humans had shown their strength, alien science had been challenged, and life had proven to be stronger than fear, expectation, or tradition. The future, once uncertain, now glowed with hope, waiting for the next step after the birth of the twins. The palace was full of quiet tension and excitement. The Empire had never seen anything like this before. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, thought weak, fragile, and simple. Yet now a human had given life to the royal bloodline, producing children stronger than many had imagined. The implications were enormous. The Queen, Zalera, remained calm outwardly, but inside her mind raced. She had seen her grandchildren. She had witnessed the impossible. She realized the Empire's future could no longer ignore humans. These children were proof that life, trust, and courage could surpass tradition and expectation. She studied Adam carefully, seeing the quiet strength and patience he had always shown. He had changed the impossible into reality. The council gathered to observe the twins. Advisors whispered in disbelief, debating the meaning of this miracle. Some feared the change. They worried that humans would gain too much influence, that traditions would be challenged, that the Empire might lose control. Others were curious, amazed by the strength and vitality of the twins. They could not deny what they saw. The future of the Empire had arrived, wrapped in human and alien life. Adam and Elira continued to care for their children. Each day they observed them closely, marveling at their strength and awareness. The twins moved with energy, reacted to sound and touch, and seemed unusually intelligent for their age. Alien healers continued to monitor them, still amazed by their vitality. The palace itself seemed quieter, respectful, as if life itself had changed the way people moved and spoke. One day, Queen Zalera approached Adam and Elira in the garden. She carried a calm authority, her blue robes brushing the flowers. She looked at the twins, then at the parents, and spoke slowly. "I have watched, I have studied. These children, they are beyond what we imagined. Humans, your kind, may be stronger than we ever believed." Adam bowed slightly, respectfully. "We did not do this to prove strength or power. We only lived our lives day by day. The children are alive because life is stronger than expectation." Elira smiled, holding her son. "They are our children, and we will protect them, always." The queen studied her grandchildren again, noticing the subtle ways they moved, their awareness, their energy. She realized that the empire could no longer see humans as fragile. Humans had adaptability, resilience, and strength that alien science had never predicted. The empire's future would be shaped by this new understanding. News of the twins spread through the empire. Ambassadors from distant planets arrived, curious about the human contribution to the royal bloodline. Humans were invited to observe, to learn, to understand. Many were skeptical, but when they saw the children, their doubt faded. The twins were strong, lively, and alert. They carried both alien and human traits, yet neither was weak. They were perfect, vibrant, and full of potential. Adam and Elira became quiet leaders in their own right. They were not rulers by law, yet their presence commanded respect. Humans had been underestimated, but now, through their actions, humans were seen as vital, capable, and resilient. The queen observed them, understanding that humanity could shape the future of the empire in ways no one had imagined. One evening, as the sun reflected off the crystal towers, Adam spoke to Elira softly. "The empire sees us now. They know we are not weak. Our children, they are proof. We have changed what they believe is possible." Elira nodded, smiling faintly. "And it is only the beginning. They will grow, learn, and lead. They will show the empire that strength comes from life, not just rules or tradition." The queen approached quietly, her expression calm but thoughtful. She knelt beside Elira and Adam. "You have given the empire hope. The children, they carry the future. And humans, your kind, may be the key to survival and growth. I see it now. I understand it." Adam and Elira listened, feeling the weight of her words. The queen, once distant and cautious, now acknowledged the truth. Humans were not fragile. Humans could survive, adapt, and thrive in ways alien science could not predict. Weeks passed, and the twins grew stronger. They crawled, laughed, and responded to their parents with awareness beyond expectation. Alien advisors continued to observe, sometimes in disbelief, sometimes with respect. Humans had entered the palace not as rulers or warriors, but as partners in survival. And they had shown their worth. The queen finally summoned a council meeting to formalize what had already become clear. "The empire must adapt," she said. "We have underestimated humans. We must acknowledge their strength and their role in our future. These children, they are proof. Life has shown us the way." The council members nodded, some reluctantly, some with excitement. They realized that the future had changed. Humans would no longer be ignored. Their contribution to the empire was undeniable. The children, strong and alive, had shown that life was unpredictable, powerful, and full of hope. Adam and Elira continued their lives quietly, away from the politics, yet at the center of change. They raised their twins with care, teaching them both human and alien knowledge. They showed them kindness, patience, and courage. The children grew quickly, their strength and awareness remarkable. The empire watched, learning from the miracle that had entered their lives. One day, the queen approached Adam and Elira again. She looked at the children playing in the garden, laughing and moving with energy. "I once feared our line would end. Now I see it will thrive. The children, they carry hope. And you, human, have shown the empire what is possible." Adam bowed his head slightly. "We did not intend to prove anything. We only lived honestly day by day. Life itself has shown what is possible." Elira smiled, watching her twins. "They are alive, strong, and they are ours. Together we have done something the empire never expected." The queen nodded slowly, finally allowing herself a faint smile. She had been frozen in shock when she first saw her grandchildren. Now she understood. Humans were part of the future. Humans had saved the royal bloodline, and the Empire's survival was no longer in doubt. The palace settled into a new rhythm. Humans and aliens lived together, learning from each other. The twins grew, healthy and strong, embodying both species' strengths. Adam and Elira continued to guide them quietly, patiently, and with care. The Empire watched, slowly accepting that the impossible had happened. And so the story reached its quiet resolution. The infertile princess had borne children, not through alien science alone, but through trust, patience, and the strength of humanity. The human had shown courage, calmness, and quiet power. The Empire had been changed, not by war or politics, but by life itself. Queen Zalera watched her grandchildren one final time that evening. The children laughed, reaching for each other's hands, full of energy, full of life. She felt a strange peace. The Empire was safe, the future bright, and humans had shown their true value. She understood that strength came from more than rules, more than rituals. It came from life, love, and courage. Adam held Elira's hand, looking at the children. "We have done it," he said softly. "The future is alive and it is strong." Elira nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, the Empire will see it. They will understand. Humans are not fragile. They are strong, and together we have made the impossible real." The twins crawled toward their parents, giggling, reaching out with tiny hands. The palace was quiet, filled with soft light, and the world seemed still for a moment. The Empire, the Queen, the Council, and the people had all witnessed a miracle. Humans had shown their strength. Life had proven stronger than fear, expectation, or tradition. And the future, once uncertain, now glowed with hope, possibility, and power. The Queen finally spoke, softly but firmly, to the parents and their children. "The Empire is alive because of this, because of life, and because of you, human. You have shown us the way forward. The children, they are our future, and we will honor them." Adam and Elira looked at each other, smiles on their faces. Together they had faced the impossible. Together they had changed the Empire. Together they would guide their children, teach them, and watch them grow. The Empire would never be the same again. And so life continued. Humans and aliens coexisted, learning from each other. The twins grew strong, the Empire adapted, and the impossible had become reality. The infertile princess had given birth. The human had shown strength. And the Empire had learned that life, hope, and courage were more powerful than any law, tradition, or expectation. The palace rested in quiet light, the twins sleeping peacefully, the parents smiling, and the queen watching. The future, once uncertain, now glowed brightly, alive with possibility. Humans had revealed their power. The royal bloodline had survived, and the Empire would thrive, stronger than ever before.